In 2026, it will cost a Power Four program $40 million to put together a competitive roster that could win the national championship. Next year, folks that got to look at those numbers say the new number will be $45 million. And this is on top of the cap supposedly being around $21 million. Let's talk about what some staffers have said anonymously and what Steve Sarkisian said about there have been some big spenders, but there are no Dodgers, as in Major League Baseball's Los Angeles Dodgers, and what he means by that. What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, answer the question in the comments below. The price of brick going up is the price of brick going up. What do you think the national champion will have to spend on their roster in 2027, as most of the ink has dried on how much it's going to cost in 2026 because players are on your roster and they're getting paid right now? This is really an interesting topic, and I'm going to go through some reporting that I've done, some reporting that Athletic done, some reporting that On3 has done to try to get to this question. But costing a lot of money to put together a national championship program has never been news. It always costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money before we were playing players. They just need to find something else to do with that money. You know, like strength and conditioning facilities, better dorms, better equipment, better locker rooms. Spend it on basically a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter. Now you got to spend it on people, and you need more of it because it's not winning that is really the thing. Losing is the thing that torpedoes your value. Losing is the reason you don't get any return on investment. Like, everybody's getting a, economics 101 lesson here because they got to follow their favorite college football team. So the Athletic talked to a few Power Four movers and shakers. And one SEC head coach told them the new number in our sport right now is $40 million. That is for the 26 season. What is going to be for the 2027 season? What is it going to be? I don't know. I think if you're at $40 million this year, I bet you'll be at $45 million next year. It's getting up to $35 million plus, if not $40 million plus, said one Big Ten staffer. Again, about $21 million, which you're supposed to spend, but it's soft because revenue sharing is revenue sharing, and NIL collected something else. And, when you put those two numbers together, you generally double them to make your program as competitive as you possibly can from a roster building standpoint. And you're not willing to be outbid, right? You're going to pay for a great quarterback because you want to be in the conversation to be great. Texas Tech did this. They put together the most expensive roster of 2025, and they had a top 4 seed and a Big 12 championship to show for it. It can work, but this is what this is poker to me. The buy-in gets you to the table. Then you got to know how to play the game, right? A lot of people think that they can play the game, but they don't have the buy-in. That's why Power Fours are going, okay, if we keep spending money to get to the buy-in, we keep raising the stakes, yeah, it's going to be more difficult for others to get in. And you don't like necessarily that James Madison and Tulane can backdoor their way into the table because we have this special dispensation for Group of 6 programs, which in some terms are just programs that do not bring in the value of those others that also don't have the money to put up that those others do, but you want the game to look fair, so you do it, right? One Big Ten personnel staffer told The Athletic this, and I think it's funny. Our joking motto is double it, which is what we say every cycle. It's like whatever you hear, double it. That's just what's going on, what's going to end up being for a lot of kids. Whatever we end up paying for this type of kid, next cycle, you're going to have to double it. Trying to compare it to what was even a year ago at this time is completely different. Dave Aranda said this. Like, I was at the AFCA coaches convention doing some reporting Fox, and he was saying, look, the same kid with the same talent cost twice as much money this year as he did last year because somebody's willing to pay it. You can't keep up if you can't keep up. And that's really important to note, right? And how does this affect G6 programs? Tremendously. The information they get is that the price of brick is going up. Imagine paying $2 million for a quarterback at Sacramento State, right? Among others. What this person said was, we all think we're better than what we are. So everybody will look at the market and say, the best quarterback in college football made X amount of money. I'm better than that. I deserve more. Even if they aren't better than that, if they believe that and put themselves out there in the open market, somebody's going to pay a hefty price for it. Darian Mensah at Duke got $8 million over 2 years. Nico Iamaleava said, I'm better than that, and tested it, and, well, didn't go as well as he wanted to, but for others, it works out just fine, right? You're spending the same amount of money for lesser players now. Like, you can't, this is why everybody's yelling and screaming for a salary cap, because, well, the spending feels like it's getting out of control. I'm going to tell you about a sport where spending has been out of control for a very long time called Major League Baseball, okay? The Dodgers are the team that I watch in Major League Baseball because I go to a lot of Tulsa Drillers games. And the Tulsa Drillers are the AA affiliate for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the AAA affiliate is in Oklahoma City. I like watching baseball. I enjoy it. Like during the summer, I will go to as many Drillers games as I can. So I will watch guys go up, get called up, or even guys come down. Like when Clayton Kershaw had to do a rehab stint at Tulsa, I made sure to be there because it was really cool. And then I got to see Kim Mulkey's son take him deep to left field and stare him down. And, you know, I love baseball, so I know what all that is there for, right? It's just great. But Steve Sarkisian actually talked about how there aren't any Dodgers in college football, at least right now, right? One of the ways he put this is, I know everyone wants to point out 5 or 6 schools. I bet there are 25 schools that are paying a ton of money at this point, right? I mean, I'm not naming names, but the list is long. So now it becomes, who's buying what at the end of the day? Can you put a roster together that can play as a team that can compete for a championship? Now, whether there's a discrepancy of 3 million, 2 million, 5 million, or 10 million, it's like, who's where and how? Nobody ever is really going to know because we never have to disclose the contracts. That's the most out of whack thing in the world. Well, yeah, we would all like to know what each other are making, but you've got to pay a lot of money just to get in the game. Again, poker. So the team that have a chance to win, or teams that have a chance to win, I don't know what that number is and what's going to end up being, but call it 25, but everybody's in that game. And if you say you're not, then you're not being truthful. Again, I talked to Sonny Dykes earlier last month, February. And he told me there's probably 15 teams that get to play for a national championship every year because they can afford to get there. Remember, he coached Texas Christian to the national championship game in 2022. But I love this Dodgers analogy, right? Pushing back, basically start pushing back the Texas operates like the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers payroll in 2026 was just south of $400 million, about $396 million. Good God. 18 other teams, in Major League Baseball paid $200 million, right? The Marlins paid just $76.5 million. Now, one of the reasons that we want to have this conversation is because of that discrepancy. But in Major League Baseball, you got owners that just say, I'm not spending that kind of money on a baseball team because they don't have to. They don't have to. But if you do want to win, you do have to spend. I will remind you, the Dodgers have $1 billion tied up in 2 friggin' players, right? One is Shohei Ohtani, the greatest baseball player who has ever lived. Quite literally, Steve Nebraska and Sid Finch rolled all into one, right? And Yamamoto, pitcher that showed you he was worth every dollar in the World Series against the Blue Jays. Just masterful performance by him, right? And 2 of the best baseball players in the walking around today. But Steve Sarkisian says there are no Dodgers. There's nobody in college football that are the Dodgers. We're not the Dodgers. You still got to make decisions, the right decisions on players, because at the end of the day, none of us want to sit here and say that was dead money and that we committed a lot of money to this guy and he can't play for us and that he's not a great person or that he's a cancer in the locker room or that he doesn't have the right work ethic or that he doesn't have the right toughness to play. Sounds like an NFL team, dog. Sounds like you're moaning, complaining because you tried to be an offensive coordinator out Atlanta Falcons. You didn't like it because, well, you got these problems, and now you have these problems whether you want them or not. I think a lot of coaches want this to be the truth, that they recruit great players and great players get paid money, as a side effect. as opposed to the main goal. Nah, dog. Nah, dog. Now more than ever, the incentive to play college football is about getting paid. It's not about wearing your colors.